What if the biggest predictor of how well you'll age isn't a medical test, but a simple movement most people stopped doing years ago? What if one of the strongest predictors of how well you'll age isn't hidden inside an expensive medical test or a complicated fitness program, but inside a movement so ordinary that most of us stop thinking about it altogether? That's the question that completely changed the way I look at the human body. If someone had told me that doing just 20 bodyweight squats a day could influence everything from my brain to my heart, my blood sugar, my bones, and even my chances of staying independent decades from now, I probably would have smiled politely and moved on. 20 squats, that sounds far too small to matter. And honestly, I think that's exactly why most people overlook it. But the more I study biology, the more I've realized something that keeps humbling me: the body rarely responds to dramatic moments. Instead, it quietly rewards tiny signals repeated over and over again. That's how muscles grow, that's how habits reshape the brain. That's even how aging itself unfolds, not all at once, but through thousands of small biological decisions happening beneath our awareness every single day. That realization made me curious. I wasn't interested in whether squats could help someone build stronger legs. I wanted to know why one simple movement keeps appearing in conversations about longevity, mobility, and healthy aging. Why do researchers keep coming back to it? What is the body seeing that most of us aren't? The answer surprised me more than I expected. What looks like a basic exercise is actually a chain reaction. The moment your muscles contract, they're no longer just moving your body, they're sending chemical messages throughout it. Your brain responds, your heart adjusts, your bones receive signals about how strong they need to remain. Even your metabolism begins behaving differently. I've come to think of the human body less as a collection of separate organs and more as a network of ongoing conversations. Every movement either strengthens that conversation or slowly lets it fade. So I'd like to explore this with you, not as someone handing out life hacks, but as someone genuinely fascinated by how a 2-minute habit might reveal one of biology's most overlooked secrets. And by the end, I'll show you a remarkably simple test that researchers have linked to longevity, one that brings everything we're about to uncover into a single movement. And the first place that hidden conversation begins is inside the biggest muscles you own. The more I learned about human biology, the harder it became to ignore one simple fact. Our bodies were never designed to spend most of the day sitting. For most of human history, squatting wasn't a workout, it was a way of life. People rested in a squat, cooked in a squat, harvested crops in a squat, and picked up children from a squat. It was such a natural position that no one thought of it as exercise. Today, we've traded that movement for chairs, and I can't help wondering how much of our biology is still waiting for the signals it evolved to receive. When you lower yourself into a squat and press back up, your muscles don't just produce force. They detect mechanical tension, almost like tiny sensors asking, "Is this challenge important enough to prepare for?" If the answer is yes, a pathway known as mTOR becomes more active, encouraging muscle cells to repair themselves by building new proteins. I find it remarkable that your body is constantly making decisions like this. It isn't interested in looking impressive. It's interested in becoming more capable the next time you ask something of it. That matters because aging quietly changes the equation. Starting in our 30s, muscle mass gradually declines, and after 60, that process often accelerates. We tend to notice the consequences only when everyday tasks become unexpectedly difficult. Standing up from a low chair suddenly requires effort. Carrying groceries feels heavier. Climbing stairs takes longer than it used to. Those moments aren't random. They're often the visible result of years of slow biological change. What encourages me is that the body continues listening. Every set of squats becomes another reminder that these muscles are still needed. It's less like making a dramatic transformation and more like making regular deposits into an account you'll depend on later. Even more fascinating, the conversation doesn't stop with your muscles. As they contract, they release chemical messengers into your bloodstream, and your brain immediately responds. Within minutes, levels of endorphins begin to rise, helping lift your mood, while brain-derived neurotrophic factor, or BDNF, supports the brain's ability to form new connections. The more I think about it, the more extraordinary it seems that one ordinary movement can simultaneously strengthen the body while helping the mind remain adaptable for years to come. What amazed me even more was realizing that some of the most important changes are the ones you never actually feel happening. Take your blood sugar, for example. Before I started reading more about exercise physiology, I assumed managing blood sugar was mostly the pancreas' job. But your muscles play an enormous role, and they do it in a surprisingly elegant way. After you eat, glucose begins flowing through your bloodstream, waiting to be absorbed by your cells. Normally, insulin acts like a key that helps open the door, but when your muscles contract during something as simple as a squat, they can bring specialized GLUT4 transporters to the cell surface through another pathway, allowing glucose to move into muscle cells with much less reliance on insulin. I love this because it reveals how resourceful the human body really is. It doesn't rely on just one solution, it builds backup systems. That's also why a brief set of squats after a meal may help soften the rise in blood sugar by putting your largest glucose storage site to work exactly when it's needed. The same principle of adaptation quietly extends to your skeleton. We often picture bones as rigid structures that simply hold us upright, but they're constantly remodeling themselves. Every squat places gentle mechanical stress on your hips, thighs, and spine, sending signals to bone-building cells called osteoblasts that these structures are still essential. Without regular loading, the opposite message is sent, and bone density can gradually decline over time. One study that really caught my attention involved postmenopausal women with osteoporosis, who improved bone density through supervised resistance training. While those participants used heavier weights than bodyweight squats alone, the underlying lesson stayed with me. Even aging bones continue responding when they're given an appropriate reason to grow stronger. Then, there's another layer that's almost invisible, but incredibly important. Skeletal muscle isn't simply tissue that moves your body. It's one of the body's largest signaling organs. As muscles contract, they release proteins called myokines that travel through the bloodstream, helping regulate the low-grade chronic inflammation associated with aging and many long-term diseases. The more I explore biology, the more I see movement not as burning calories, but as sending thousands of tiny messages that remind the body how to protect itself long before problems become visible. As I kept following these biological signals, I realized they all point towards something we rarely appreciate until it begins slipping away: the freedom to move through life with confidence. When we think about aging, most of us picture wrinkles or gray hair, but I don't think those are the changes that truly redefine daily life. The changes that matter most are often invisible at first. They're the hesitation before stepping off a curb, the extra effort it takes to get up from the floor, or the quiet fear of losing balance in a crowded place. Those are the moments that can gradually shrink someone's world. That's why I started looking at squats from a completely different perspective. Every controlled repetition is teaching your nervous system as much as it's training your muscles. As you lower yourself and stand back up, your brain is constantly processing information from your feet, ankles, knees, hips, and core. This sense of knowing where your body is in space, called proprioception, helps you react almost instinctively when you stumble. At the same time, the smaller stabilizing muscles around your joints become stronger and more coordinated, giving you a little more margin for error when life throws you an unexpected misstep. I also found it fascinating that squats have earned an unfair reputation when it comes to knee health. Many people grow up believing they're harmful, yet for most healthy individuals, proper squatting can actually support the knees rather than damage them. Cartilage doesn't have its own rich blood supply, so movement helps circulate the fluid that delivers nutrients and removes waste. Strengthening the muscles surrounding the joint also creates better stability, reducing unnecessary stress during everyday activities, of course. None of this means pushing through pain. Good movement should always respect your body's current limits, and anyone dealing with joint or back issues should work with a qualified healthcare professional to build strength safely. Perhaps the most overlooked benefit, though, is mobility. Hours spent sitting gradually teach our hips and ankles to move less, and over time that reduced range begins to feel normal. A daily set of squats gently challenges that pattern, preserving the ability to kneel, reach the floor, stand back up, or simply move through the world without hesitation. The more I reflect on it, the more I believe mobility isn't really about flexibility. It's about holding on to the independence that gives every other part of life its meaning. And that idea of preserving independence brings us to one of the simplest, and, in my opinion, one of the most thought-provoking tests I've come across in longevity research. It's called the sitting rising test, and the first time I learned about it, I was surprised by how ordinary it seemed. You simply lower yourself from a standing position to sitting on the floor, then stand back up again. While using as little support as possible, you begin with 10 points, 5 for sitting down and 5 for standing back up. Each time you rely on a hand, forearm, knee, or the side of your leg for assistance, points are deducted. If you lose your balance, you lose a fraction of a point as well. At first glance, it almost feels too simple to tell us anything meaningful, but the more I thought about it, the more brilliant it became. That single movement quietly reflects many of the biological systems we've explored together. It asks whether your muscles are strong enough, whether your joints move comfortably, whether your balance is reliable, whether your coordination is sharp, and whether your nervous system can orchestrate all of those abilities at the same time. Instead of measuring one organ in isolation, it offers a snapshot of how well your body functions as an integrated whole. Researchers followed more than 4,000 adults between their mid-40s and mid-70s for over a decade and found that people with higher sitting rising test scores generally experience lower mortality during the follow-up period than those with much lower scores. It's important to keep that finding in perspective. This was an observational study, meaning it identified an association rather than proving that one score directly determines how long someone will live. Even so, I think the message is incredibly valuable. Healthy aging isn't built around a single miracle habit or one extraordinary workout. It's built around maintaining the fundamental abilities that let us continue living on our own terms. That's why I keep coming back to those 20 daily squats, not because they're magical, and certainly not because they're the only exercise that matters, but because they represent something much bigger. They remind me that the body is always adapting, always listening, and always responding to the choices we repeat. Sometimes, the most meaningful investment in our future isn't dramatic at all. Sometimes it's just 2 intentional minutes today that quietly shape who we'll still be able to become years from now. If there's one lesson I've taken away from exploring this topic, it's that our future health is rarely shaped by one extraordinary decision. Instead, it's built through small, consistent choices that quietly compound over time. Every healthy habit is like casting a vote for the person you want to become years from now. You don't have to be perfect, you simply have to keep showing up. Maybe today, that starts with just 20 squats and 2 intentional minutes invested in your future self. Now I'd love to hear from you. Have you ever tried doing bodyweight squats every day, or is this a habit you're thinking about starting? Share your answer in the comments below so we can all learn from each other's experiences. And if you enjoyed this video and want to keep exploring the fascinating science behind living a healthier, longer life, please consider subscribing to the channel. Your support truly helps and encourages us to keep creating more evidence-based content for you.